they yell at each other all the
Oh,
time.
that's true. Ask him, he's been married for how long?
Over 20-something years.
Over 20
Look at him, though.
years.
He look mad. You don't look happy, brother. You don't look happy.
He's very happy.
In the early hours of July 28, 2019, a famous TV actor would kill his wife over lack of sex. At around 3 a.m., police would receive a frantic 911 call from a home in Houston, Texas. The caller was none other than a Harris County Sheriff's deputy and famous TV actor known for appearing as a bailiff on the syndicated court TV show. But this night, he wasn't calling to report someone else's crime. He was calling to report himself. He had just shot his wife multiple times. But detectives would later note something chilling. Renard's story sounded almost rehearsed, like he was hiding something. And the most disturbing detail? The trigger for this deadly night wasn't betrayal or rage alone. It was something far more shocking, an argument over sex. And the horror was only just beginning. This is the life and tragic death of Patricia Spivey.
I want you to tell me how my sister lived the last 45 seconds of her life. You were there. You had control of it.
52-year-old Patricia Marshall Spivey was born on March 11, 1967 in Houston, Texas, to proud parents Benny and Hardy Marshall. She was the couple's fifth child and the only girl, a blessing her parents had long hoped for after raising 4 boys. For her family, she was a joy, quiet but warm, intelligent, and always evolving. Growing up in Houston, Patricia attended Paul Lawrence Dunbar Elementary, James D. Ryan Middle School, and later Jack Yates Senior High School. By the age of 15, her life changed in a major way when she became a mother, welcoming her only daughter, Patrina Marshall. But despite her young age, Patricia embraced motherhood wholeheartedly. She worked tirelessly to provide for Patrina, balancing her responsibilities as a mother while pursuing her education and career goals. Patricia's professional journey began humbly in the mailroom at Methodist Hospital. Over the years, her dedication and work ethic paid off. For 31 years, she built a respected career at Methodist, rising through the ranks to become the executive administrative assistant to the Methodist supply chain manager. Her colleagues admired her dependability, professionalism, and unwavering loyalty to the hospital. But Patricia was much more than her career. She was a socialite at heart, well-traveled and involved in countless activities. It was during one of her countless activities that she crossed paths with a man who would change her life in ways she never expected. Patricia had a passion for health and wellness, which showed in her youthful appearance, a glow she credited to her consistent exercise routine. Her commitment to fitness was evident in the many runs and charity walks she participated in annually, including the American Heart Association Heart Walk 5K, the Sisters Network Walk, the Susan G. Komen Walk, and the Houston Texans Running with the Bulls 5K. Her philanthropic side was something she never sought to advertise, yet she lived out her belief in partying with a purpose. For over a decade, Patricia helped raise money for historically black colleges and universities by supporting the Tom Joyner Foundation's annual cruise, where fun and giving went hand in hand. But behind her generosity, she loved to celebrate life her own way. Patricia also loved themes and embraced them fully. Whether it was an Astros baseball game or a family outing, she dressed the part: attire, belt, socks, shoes, and her signature red lipstick. Being naturally generous, she always made sure her family members had matching gear, so no one felt left out. And yet her passions extended far beyond style and appearances. Photography, travel, and church life also played important roles in her world. She was deeply involved in her local church and poured love into her community. Her family and friends knew her as someone who was always there, her dedication and support appearing effortless. Her brother would later describe her simply as a lovable person. But even with a full life, there was one thing Patricia still longed for: love. After years of focusing on her family and career, Patricia eventually opened her heart to love again, In 2008, while attending a local community event in Houston, she crossed paths with 63-year-old Renard Spivey, a sheriff deputy who also gained recognition as a TV bailiff on the courtroom show Justice for All with Judge Christina Perez.
All parties have been sworn in, Your Honor.
Thank you, Renard.
Renard was charismatic, outgoing, and carried himself with the authority of his profession. To Patricia, he seemed like a man who could offer both stability and companionship. The two quickly bonded over their shared love of family and faith. Friends recalled how Renard often attended church services with Patricia and supported her during her many community events and charity walks. For a woman as driven and involved as Patricia, it felt refreshing to have a partner who appeared equally committed. And for Patricia, this felt like a love worth holding on to. Their courtship lasted several years before they finally tied the knot in 2013. For Patricia, this was her first very marriage, something she had waited patiently for as she dedicated much of her life to raising her daughter and building her career. For Renard, however, it was his third marriage, a detail that didn't seem to concern Patricia at the time. She believed their connection was genuine and that his past relationships didn't define the future they could build together. They celebrated in Hawaii before building their dream home, a 3,000-square-foot house complete with a 3-car garage. For Patricia, it seemed like the fulfillment of a long-awaited dream, finding a partner who not only supported her, but celebrated her successes. Their social media pages painted the picture of a happy, adventurous couple, smiling photos, trips together, and loving captions that made it appear as though Patricia had finally found her forever. To outsiders, their love looked like a fairy tale, but the reality was much more complicated. What began as a chance encounter would soon set the stage for a relationship that would forever alter her story. On July 28, 2019, the Spivey household became the scene of unimaginable tragedy. That night, Patricia and Renard had been arguing about steroids, intimacy, and suspicions of infidelity. Patricia confided in her brother that she believed Renard was using steroids again and possibly cheating. The tension had been building for months. Her brother recalled Renard once warning that if Patricia spoke to him like a child again, his temper would erupt, comparing himself to the Incredible Hulk and saying it would not end well. And soon those words would prove hauntingly prophetic. That night, it wasn't just words. Around 3 a.m., surveillance footage in the home captured Renard and Patricia. Renard would later tell police that on that night, the couple had been arguing. Patricia, he claimed, thought he was cheating on her because their intimacy had faded. He insisted he told her he wasn't. In the security footage, at one point, Patricia was seen sitting at the table as Renard walked over to her. According to him, she turned her phone face down each time he approached. Curious, Renard said he tried to kiss her, but Patricia brushed him off. Later that night, after the two had gone to bed, Renard claimed he waited until he thought Patricia was asleep. Then he took her phone from the nightstand and slipped into the master closet to see what she had been looking at. But within seconds, Patricia confronted him. Renard told investigators that Patricia entered the closet holding a gun and demanded her phone back. When he turned around, he noticed her finger was already on the trigger. He later described the moment as terrifying, saying he believed she was prepared to shoot. But when pressed about how Patricia gained access to the weapon, Renard admitted that his gun was kept on the dresser beside his bed and that it was always loaded. But for a trained officer, whose job was to de-escalate tense situations, the scene inside the closet that night raised far more questions than answers. Renard later claimed fear took over in the closet. He told investigators he had never faced a situation like that before, and his instinct, drawn from his police training, was to try to disarm Patricia. But his version of events would soon raise more questions than answers. According to his account, he grabbed her wrist and reached for the top of the weapon. In the struggle, Patricia pulled back while her finger was still on the trigger. The gun went off, striking Renard in the leg. Security footage also captured Renard limping. This was after a multiple gunshot was also heard. When police arrived, they found Patricia's lifeless body in the master bedroom closet. Nearby were her cell phone, 3 shell casings, and a gun placed oddly on top of a closed hamper. Renard was taken to the hospital for his leg wound, still claiming it was all an accident. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. The Harris County Medical Examiner ruled Patricia's death a homicide. The wounds were not consistent with an accidental discharge. They were intentional, deliberate. But detectives dug deeper. They reviewed the 911 call and noticed Renard's odd demeanor. He never referred to Patricia by name, only saying they. His pauses during CPR attempts seemed unnatural. To seasoned investigators, these weren't signs of panic. They were signs of guilt. And then came the breakthrough. Home security audio revealed 3 distinct gunshots, followed by a faint fourth. Prosecutors theorized that the first 2 struck Patricia, while the third was an extra round. The faint fourth sound, they believed Renard fired it into his own leg to make his story appear more believable. But just when it seemed the case couldn't get darker, the autopsy results sealed the narrative. Patricia had bruising around her wrists, suggesting a struggle before she was killed. The trajectory of the bullets and the number of shots fired destroyed Renard's claim of an accident. Renard insisted he was the first to be shot. As he stumbled and tried to wrestle the gun away, it fired again, this time hitting Patricia. She was struck in the chest and then again in the arm. But defense experts later used animations to illustrate Renard's version of events. They argued the first shot hit Patricia in the left chest, piercing her lung and heart. The second, they said, struck her right arm, traveling through the bicep and into her upper chest. But not everyone agreed. The medical examiner suggested Patricia may have been hit 3 times, not 2, once in the left chest, once in the right arm, and again in the right chest. Detectives concluded what many suspected. After killing Patricia, Renard intentionally shot himself to stage the scene. Detectives interviewed Patricia's brother, Ezra Washington, who revealed the disturbing phone call he had had with Renard just hours before the shooting. According to Ezra, Renard ranted about Patricia counting his testosterone pills and accusing him of infidelity. He recalled Renard warning that if Patricia kept speaking to him like a child, his temper would erupt like the Incredible Hulk, and the outcome would not be good. Ezra admitted to police that he brushed it off at the time, never imagining his brother-in-law would follow through. Hours after Patricia's body was discovered, Renard Spivey was arrested and charged with murder. He was no longer the uniformed deputy or TV bailiff people recognized from reruns of Justice for All. Instead, he was now an accused wife killer sitting in the back of a squad car.
Good evening to you. I'm Tom Ziska. Glad to have you with us. We begin with this. What started as a possible domestic dispute involving an off-duty Harris County Sheriff's deputy and his wife took a deadly turn. Investigators say it happened about 3:15 this morning inside the couple's Southeast Houston home. That was near Briscoe and Coffee Street. Fox 26's Natalie He was at the scene earlier. She is live here in the studio with the story. Natalie.
Hi there, Tom. Well, Houston police are now investigating this incident. They say the woman was found inside that home and the sheriff's deputy was shot in the leg. Today we spoke with family, friends, and neighbors close to the couple. They tell us they were shocked to find out the news.
I nodded off, went to sleep, and woke up missing a sister. Patricia Marshall Spivey, Renard Spivey.
Ezra Washington says he had just spoken with his brother-in-law on the phone for nearly 6 hours the night before, giving him relationship advice like he always does.
Now, when they argue, she don't hold back. She speak her mind, and my sister, she will speak her mind. If you push her far enough, she's gonna speak her mind.
At some point during the conversation, Ezra said a comment made involving his now deceased 52-year-old sister raised some eyebrows.
He said if she talked to me like I'm a child again, that Incredible Hulk gonna come out and it ain't gonna be good. And I said, well, man, if it get to that point, because he's a big guy, if you seen him, then get your stuff and go.
But he never thought their arguments were anything out of the ordinary.
Not violence. I mean, every couple, argue and have, issues. Never heard anything like that the whole time. I really hadn't.
And you never thought it would escalate to that?
Never. I mean, if I'd have driven over here and I'd have got here, because that's my sister now.
Ezra said the couple has been married since 2015 and have lived in that Southeast Houston home they built 2 years ago with her 83-year-old father. His sister leaves behind a daughter, and her has friends and neighbors close to the couple shocked.
The victim was not only a mother, she was a real socialite. They're good people, family oriented. It kind of taking us for a shock right now.
Ezra also tells us his sister was a Jack Yates High School graduate and was passionate about health and fitness. Houston police have not released any additional details about this case. This incident remains under investigation. In the studio, Natalie He, Fox 26 News.
When news of his arrest broke, the public was stunned. Clips from his TV appearances resurfaced online. In one infamous moment, a comedian jokingly pointed out Renard's unhappy expression during a court proceeding, saying, "I'm not happy, I'm breaking down." The audience laughed at the time, but years later, the internet had a darker interpretation. The man who looked unhappy on TV was the same man accused of murdering his wife.
They yell at each other all the time.
Oh, that's true. Ask him, he's been married for how long?
Over 20-something years.
Over 20
Look at him, though. He look mad. You don't look happy, brother. You don't look happy.
He's very happy.
Social media exploded with commentary. Memes, speculation, and outrage flooded timelines. Yet behind the headlines was a grieving family who had lost their daughter, sister, and mother. But just when Patricia's loved ones thought Renard would face justice immediately, the courtroom drama began. 2 days after his arrest, Renard appeared in court, limping from his leg wound. Prosecutors argued he was both a danger to the community and a flight risk, pushing for a $100,000 bond. But the judge would stun everyone. His bond was lowered $50,000, citing Renard's long career in law enforcement and lack of prior criminal record. The conditions of his bond, however, were strict. He was ordered to wear a GPS monitor, surrender his passport, and abide by a curfew from 3 p.m. to 9 a.m. Most significantly, the judge barred him from contacting Patricia's family, which meant he was forbidden from attending her funeral. This decision devastated Patricia's relatives, but also gave them a measure of peace.
Former TV bailiff and Harris County Sheriff's deputy accused of his wife. This morning, 63-year-old Renard Spivey faced a judge again. Channel 2's Kathy Hernandez joining us now live from downtown with what happened in court. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning to you. Just in the last hour, the judge said that Renard Spivey will not be allowed to have contact with the family of his wife, Patricia Spivey, and that means he will not be allowed to the funeral unless her family allows it. The judge today listed off a number of bond conditions for Renard Spivey, in addition to a no contact order, a curfew from 3 p.m. to 9 a.m. He also must stay in the state, no drugs, alcohol, or guns. He also has to turn in his passport in the next week. Renard Spivey walked into the courtroom surrounded by family and limping, sore from a gunshot wound. The 63-year-old Harris County deputy is charged with the murder of his wife, Patricia Spivey. Police found her in their master bedroom closet of their Southeast Houston home Sunday morning from 2 gunshot wounds. Renard claims the two were tussling with a gun when he accidentally shot her. He also suffered that gunshot wound to the leg, saying Patricia him. According to a friend, Patricia apparently suspected Renard was on steroids or having an affair.
I spoke in terms of if your wife and you're trying to plan a funeral and you're not mad at her or her family, but they're mad at you. In the long run, if you didn't go to the funeral, your own wife's funeral, it's awful.
The man accused of taking her life would not be allowed to stand among mourners pretending to grieve. Still, one problem remained. Renard maintained it was all an accident. Renard's defense attorney told the media his client had tried desperately to save Patricia, performing CPR for 20 minutes before paramedics arrived. But detectives pointed out the glaring contradictions. Patricia was shot twice. How could that be an accident? Why was the gun found on top of a hamper instead of on the floor if it had fallen during a struggle? But then prosecutors dropped another bombshell. Patricia wasn't just shot, she had defensive injuries. The bruises on her wrists told the story of a woman fighting for her life. As the legal process continued, the court ordered a mental health evaluation for Renard. Curiously, this wasn't requested by his defense, it was initiated by the court itself. The motion was sealed and little is known about the results, but the fact that the judge deemed it necessary fueled further speculation. Was this a calculated move to build a defense around mental instability, or was the court genuinely concerned about Renard's mental state after the crime? Meanwhile, Patricia's family was left in limbo. Court dates dragged on, updates were sparse, and Ezra wrestled with his own guilt, wishing he had taken Renard's Hulk comment more seriously that night. But just when it seemed the case might stall, investigators found themselves facing another uphill battle. Renard's celebrity status complicated everything. As a former TV bailiff and longtime sheriff's deputy, his case drew intense media attention. News outlets replayed his TV clips, juxtaposing them with mugshots. The story became tabloid fodder, and in the process, many feared Patricia's life and legacy were being overshadowed. Her family fought to remind the public of who Patricia really was, not just a victim, not just the wife of a deputy, but a devoted mother, grandmother, professional, and churchgoer. Her daughter, Patrina, now an adult, was left grieving the mother who had raised her single-handedly from the age of 15. The family's anguish deepened when Renard's family relatives publicly defended him, insisting he was a good man with decades of service. Patricia's loved ones, meanwhile, demanded justice for a woman who had given her all to family and career, only to be taken in a moment of senseless violence. The case dragged on, stalled by legal maneuvers and delayed by the pandemic. But through it all, Patricia's family refused to let her story fade into silence. They knew prosecutors didn't buy Renard's tale of an accidental shooting, and neither did they. But then the community's voice grew louder. Neighbors, church members, and even complete strangers rallied behind Patricia's daughter, Patrina. They called for justice at vigils, shared her story on social media, and reminded everyone that behind the headlines was a woman who had given 31 years of her life to her hospital career, raised a daughter as a single mother, and lived with a smile that lit up the room. Patricia's funeral was set at her beloved church in Houston. Friends and colleagues from Methodist Hospital gathered alongside family to honor a woman they described as a joy and a blessing. But one face was missing. Because of his bond restrictions, Renard Spivey was barred from attending. For Patricia's family, it was bittersweet. They no longer had to endure the presence of the man accused of pulling the trigger, but the empty seat still symbolized betrayal. And eventually, the funeral became more than a farewell. It became a rallying cry for justice. Still, the battle was far from over. By late 2019, prosecutors made their position clear. After 12 hours, the jury acquitted Renard Spivey of murder and manslaughter, concluding the shooting was a tragic accident. Many viewers and commentators expressed disbelief at the verdict, especially given the physical evidence and Spivey's calm demeanor during the 911 call. Patricia's family, including her daughter and cousin, strongly believed the shooting was intentional and felt justice was denied. Patricia Marshall Spivey lived 52 years of love, resilience, and dedication. She raised a daughter against the odds, built a respected career, and gave selflessly to her community. She deserved to grow old, to see grandchildren, to keep chasing her passions. Instead, her life was cut short in a tragedy that never should have happened. Her story is a painful reminder of how domestic violence doesn't always look like black eyes and broken bones. Sometimes it looks like controlling behavior, accusations, steroid abuse, and veiled threats. Sometimes it looks like a happy couple smiling in public photos while battling behind closed doors. What do you think about it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.